Hello, good evening traders. So finally we have one positive day in the Nifty Spot after 4 days of short-term consolidation or correction. Now, after the initial breakout which we had last week, somewhere over here, especially with this big green candle, and obviously after the sort of consolidation which we had in the last 1.5 months, and then we had a breakout, most of the traders would have thought that we'll have a flyer of a rally or something like that. But instead, what we saw a little bit of consolidation in this week. We also saw a small retracement. But one positive thing which I would also say is, thankfully so far we have not been retracing below this entire support band. What I'm trying to say is, इतना सा retracement किया है from 25,666 till 25,385, something like that. That is fine. But even if we would have retraced till 25,235, that was also acceptable by me. But once we close below this, then the problems would have started. Thankfully, that has not happened. So I think so far so good. And markets will never work the way you want. Overall, the trend is still up. Things are fine. Yes, we do have a lack of momentum. The initial momentum which we saw over here, we can see a drop of momentum here, and that's okay. That happens in the market, but overall structure of the entire market is still intact. It's fine. Even there are no signs of weaknesses in the weekly or even in the daily RSI. Even the monthly time frame chart is absolutely fine. All right. And on the top of, I think, everything, I should say, we have a small hammer closing for this week. So at least we have closed a little bit on a higher note, expecting maybe that in the next week we could have better time. Only time will tell, but so far so good. Now going ahead with Bank Nifty, we can see that the trend is up, okay, in the daily time frame chart. Even in the weekly time frame chart, the trend is up. Now, if you remember, in my previous week's weekly sectoral analysis, I had shared something. I will like to go back to that point and share something with you. Now have a close look and ध्यान से सुनिए मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ. See, we have a higher high in price. We have a lower high in RSI. Now, is this a negative divergence? The answer is yes. Technically, it is a negative divergence. I am using the word technically. Okay, technically it is a negative divergence, and understand one thing. In bullish uptrends, there will be times when you will have negative divergences on the charts, and these divergences sometimes may work, sometimes they will not work, because the momentum and the trend is so strong that it will take all these divergences for a toss. Now, I had said one more thing, if you remember, that what sort of candle is made over here, that will make a lot of difference. Now this weekend, not a very strong bearish candle has been made over here. If the candle was bearish, then probably things were different. Understand one thing. Number two, if you check here in the daily time frame chart, also there was a negative divergence. We have a small higher high here and a lower high in the RSI. After that, we have retraced. We have retraced till 38.20% Fibonacci retracement. Even this is a good support for Bank Nifty, 56,686. And I would also say that 56,400, that is also good support. But the lesser we retrace, it is better for the Bank Nifty. Now, the way we have come down, I think it is with a good amount of momentum on the downside, short of momentum. And if you see the 2-hourly chart, what we can clearly see over here, the first candle is a high wave candle. Now, a high wave candle coming after a correction at a support clearly shows that the short-term downtrend in the 2-hourly charts was overextended on the downside. First thing. Second thing, we have a hammer over here. Now, hammer along with a bullish belt hold shows some sort of bullishness in the Bank Nifty spot for the short term. Now, is this a bottom out? I would not say yes, it's a bottom out or something, but in case if we start trading probably above say 57,300, 57,290 on Monday, we start trading above it, sustain above it, maybe even above this candle 57,200 maybe, and we sustain above it, then there is a little bit of chance, a fair bit of chance that we could see some short-term momentum on the upside in Bank Nifty, which could happen pretty quick. Okay, number one. Now, what are the supporting indexes to this Bank Nifty? Is it PSU Bank or is it private bank? Let us check. If you check the structure of the private banking space, it is little bit similar, little bit, not exactly, because private banking space have retraced a little bit more than Bank Nifty. See, Bank Nifty has retraced only 38%, but private banking space has retraced even more. And for the record, there is no negative divergence in private banking space, nothing at all. In fact, it's looking strong in the weekly time frame charts. Yes, this is a negative candle, but it's fine, it happens. Even in the daily time frame chart, we have touched a support which is 27,953 in the private banking space. It's a big hammer. Even if you go to the daily the 2-hourly time frame charts, again we have a decent small hammer, the first candle of today's trading session. Then again we have a big hammer and then a big bullish belt hold. So overall we have retraced from a high. We have come down to a strong short-term support, not a medium term, but a short-term support. Now let us understand one thing, that if we start trading above say 28,230, 28,280 on Monday morning, sustain above it, even if above 28,230, then the gates for the upside will open. I'm not saying that upar jayega hi jayega, it's guaranteed. No, I'm not saying that, but there will be a fair bit of probability that some bounce back can be possible, because along with the retracement on the downside, first thing is we have retraced to a good amount of support zone, and the price action which has come up over here in the 2-hourly time frame charts is pretty decent enough. So there is a fair bit of chance we can bounce back. But will the levels be surpassed? What will happen? Even this particular level, 28,157 is also included in the level which I shared, because jo levels मैंने share किए, it is 28,230. So we will already be trading above it in case if you need a short-term breakout. Then if you have a look at PSU banking space, now PSU banking space, see very clearly, it has retraced much lesser than the private banking space. Now there are two things which we need to understand. If you check the monthly time frame chart, things are improving. It's not great, it's improving. Daily time frame chart, the weekly time frame chart, again, there are a couple of things which you need to understand. The price is above the dual moving averages, number one. But twice it has happened, over here and here. There are two wicks on the upside. Now, if the momentum, if the trend is strong, why the selling is coming from the upside? Number one. Number two, if you convert this chart into a line chart, as of now, we do not have a negative divergence, but it is just showing that the momentum on the upside is losing. The trend on the upside is losing its momentum. It's waning. It's getting slightly weaker. Okay, number one thing is that. But does this result into a top? Is this a NCD? Is it a negative divergence? The answer is no. It's not a negative divergence so far. And what candle will be made next week will make a lot of sense. It will give you more understanding what's going to happen in the PSU banking space in the coming few weeks. Okay. So far, this candle I surely don't like. But when you go to the daily time frame chart, things are again different. You can see a strong uptrend which has come out of a very strong support zone. Number one, it has shot up very quickly. It is taking resistance from this previous high, number one, and then it has retraced a bit, but it did not retrace a lot. This time the retracement which happened is not that much. This is also worth paying attention. See this retracement is much lesser than the private banking space. In the private banking space, the retracement was much more. So what I'm trying to say over here is that the trend is up in the daily time frame charts and we are consolidating. We are consolidating in the 2-hourly time frame charts. So I think what's going to happen next week is very, very important. If at all private banking space starts, the PSU banking space starts trading above this high, all right, the Thursday's high, number one, and this particular recent high, and we close above it, then the short-term momentum can continue on the upside. That is what only time will tell. So I think that is what we need to understand, because we do have a negative candle. If this was a big green candle, then probably the waning momentum sign in RSI would not have bothered me that much. But I think the idea is to remain cautiously bullish. I'm not saying aggressively bullish, cautiously bullish, and then what happens needs to be seen. Number one, this level needs to be surpassed, and even this. Then we will understand what's happening in the PSU banking space. Energy pack. Now, energy pack, first we need to look at the monthly time frame chart. Now, in the monthly time frame chart, what we can see is the trend is catching up momentum. The momentum is not that strong, but it's trying to get on the upside. Again, in the weekly time frame chart, if you check, we had a few weeks of consolidation, then this breakout happened. This week also we did retrace a little bit, which is visible over here in the price action, in this small down move, and then we are trying to again go higher. Okay, so I think the trend, the momentum, everything seems to be fine. Things are okay. We have also been able to bounce back from this particular support band. Only thing is, just be careful about one thing, that the sectoral chart is looking positive. Just be careful that you don't pick the wrong stock, because there are few stocks which are slightly overstretched on the upside, and few are still, few have just started participating. So you need to make a clear choice. And yes, we'll need to sustain above this recent high, maybe this high 36,690, and maybe the recent high, which is 36,760. Then the upside momentum can continue. Auto pack. Now, auto pack, again, the monthly time frame chart is improving slowly and steadily. It's not great, it's improving. The weekly time frame chart is the best looking chart, I should say. If you check clearly, it's trying to come out. I'm using the word trying. It's trying to come out of a consolidation. So that's a good sign. And we have a lot of short-term resistance which is visible. That is the reason multiple times the auto pack has tried to, surpass that resistance, but it's not able to do so. I think so the day we surpass above this resistance, close above it, and continue rallying, only then you will see some sort of incremental difference in the weekly time frame chart. Because what I saw even in the auto pack, that not all the stocks are participating. Few are participating, few are flattish, few are probably in a downtrend, or they are weak. Even if they are not in a downtrend, they are weak. So you need to be careful and see exactly what the stocks which have the highest weightage in the auto pack, what they are doing, and then you have to recheck the auto pack charts. Overall, chances are that we may have a breakout on the upside, but we should only be happy once the breakout actually happens. Consumption pack, I think the way it is happening, the monthly chart is terrific. The weekly chart is even better. We can clearly see that we had a few weeks of consolidation, then a breakout. This is a breather. This candle is a breather, which is visible over here. So I think things are fine according to me. Initially, the momentum was very, very high. Now this is slippage of momentum. So there is decent possibility that we may see the uptrend continuing, but the momentum which we saw here, which will not be visible over here, things will slow down. The rally will continue, but things will slow down, and maybe even a consolidation cannot be ruled out. Finance pack. Now, finance pack, again, now in the monthly time frame chart, things are great. In the weekly time frame charts, we need to be a bit careful, and we need to recheck. Okay, so here we have again a sign that things are slowing down. You can see we have a higher high in price, we have a lower high in RSI. So yes, we do have a negative divergence in the price. And what we can see over here is this candle which we can see is not a full-fledged bearish engulfing pattern. If it was a bearish engulfing pattern, we could have seen the candle closing somewhere here, which is a good sign. Now, does it mean that even in the next week we may not have a bearish candle? The answer is no. Only the next week's candle will tell you what sort of candle is visible. If we have a bigger candle in comparison to this one in the next week, which is a red candle, then I think the overall trend will little bit deteriorate on the upside in the finance pack in the medium term. But if you go to the daily time frame chart, what we can see is we can see a high momentum rally in the daily chart, then a retracement. And after the retracement, we can see that we have a sort of price trying to take a U-turn. So I think only in the next week, a Monday or Tuesday, you will understand what's happening. Are we able to break few upper resistances, few upper levels, or only this is one day pullback? This is just a one day hammer and then suddenly we have a bearish candle. Only then we'll understand, because many times what happens is in a overall correction, in a overall profit booking spree, suddenly we have a hammer and then the rally fizzles out, and again the index or the stock continues to try moving on the downside. All right, so I think we need to be a bit watchful over here. FMCG pack. FMCG pack, if you remember, I had clearly told that in the monthly time frame chart, it's consolidating. In the weekly time frame chart, it is weak. Again, in the daily time frame chart, if you remember, I clearly said in my previous video that this is a mere bounce back, okay, and we do have a lot of resistance in this zone, and this resistance has worked out, and suddenly we can see a price drop in FMCG pack. Now, what we need to understand, if the weekly chart sees a breakdown on the downside, like 54,000, 54,000 or 53,900 is broken on the downside in the weekly time frame chart, then I would say that this particular correction could continue on the downside. And this is happening from the weekly time frame chart. Mind, this time frame is nothing else but the weekly time frame. So we need to take it a bit seriously. Okay, Infra pack. Infra pack, I think overall the trend is up. The monthly time frame chart is excellent, good momentum, good strong uptrend. Weekly time frame chart also looking great. Daily time frame chart also looking great. We have a terrific momentum, terrific uptrend, but I think some consolidation now will be visible because we do have a higher high in price. I'll just mark it for you. We have a higher high in price. We have a lower high in RSI. This is a classical negative divergence in RSI, and some sort of consolidation or profit booking can be probable in the infra pack. So if you are a bullish trader in this particular sector, keep your eyes open. IT pack. IT pack, in the monthly time frame chart, things are improving slowly and steadily. In terms of momentum, I should say the weekly chart has the most amount of momentum. The displacement of the moving averages is still negative. It's trying to improve. It is trying to improve. I think it might take 1 or 2 weeks more. With time, we'll understand what's happening. But if it wants to improve, then I think the price needs to stay higher and continue a bit higher, even with a slower momentum. But if it starts going down, then I think the displacement will not improve, first thing. Second thing, the trend is surely up in the weekly time frame charts because the prices are trading above the dual moving averages. Even the RSI is above 50. So things are fine. But what momentum we saw here is not visible somewhere here. So as a trader, probably as of now, I would not like to park my money in the IT park, but I would wait for a better scenario when the risk reward ratio is in my favor as a swing trader. Metal pack. Metal pack, I should say the monthly time frame charts are improving surely. The weekly time frame chart is also improving. There's a lot of volatility in the weekly time frame chart. A lot of big candles are visible up and down, but still I should say things are improving. In the daily time frame charts, a lot of fight between the bulls and the bears is visible because initially we saw the sudden momentum. inverted hammer, sudden fall in 2 days, suddenly a hammer, again a rise on the upside, again we can see a lot of wicks on the upside, again a downfall of 2 days, again a hammer, which is a sort of hammer you can say. So I think trend is up, momentum is also up, but if you are a person who is holding any metal stocks and the stocks are going higher, fine, it's okay. But when you're riding the trend on the upside, you will need to be a little bit mindful that volatility cannot be ignored right now, because it's like one day, suddenly 2 days up, suddenly down, suddenly 2 days up, suddenly down. So you'll need to be aware and mindful of these changes. And when this is happening, in case as a trader, God forbid that if your trailing stop losses hit or something like that happens, you should follow your system and just do what your system says, rather than assuming that this is just a short term dip and 2 दिन पहले dip आके वापस price ऊपर चला गया था. Do not do that. Always follow your system with complete discipline. Pharma pack. Interesting. Now, if you remember in my previous 2 sectoral analysis videos, I had clearly shared and had given a hint also that the monthly chart has improved, the weekly time frame chart is consolidating, but the displacement of the moving averages had started improving since last 2 weeks. Now, if you just have a look at the daily time frame charts, multiple times what has happened is, multiple times the breakouts in the pharma pack have not been able to continue, like move downside, breakout downside, up move downside, up move downside. Now this time it has tried to go up with high momentum. It is been able to close above this high. It's a good sign. So chances are, yes, we could continue, but you will need to be smart as a trader, because you will not be trading the index, you will be trading the stock in the pharma pack. So when you're picking the stocks, be very, very careful, because there are few stocks which are absolutely not performing, few are which are performing. So please check very, very wisely when you're betting on the pharma pack. All right, because few large caps in the pharma cap, I think they're not performing at all. So just be very careful. But yes, as an index chart, I should say that it's improving. Once we trade a little bit above this current week's high, it will add a bit more to the bullish view. PSE sector. PSE sector, I should say, monthly chart improving, but momentum not great. You can see the sideways movement in the RSI. Momentum in the weekly time frame chart is improving, not that great, but yes, it's getting better. In the 2 hourly time frame charts, I should say that we had a short-term correction. We made a base over here. Again, we are trying to go higher. So I think things are fine. Once we trade above this recent high, then we can probably see some decent momentum on the upside, because we are already in an established short-term uptrend. We already corrected. We already bounced back pretty sharply. But within that big short-term uptrend in the 2 hourly time frame charts, if you see, this actual trend is in the 2 hourly time frame charts, this big trend. But within this big uptrend, there is a small blip, small correction on the downside. So I think once we take off this high, then the momentum will continue. And this is the entire trend in the 2 hourly time frame charts. All right. Okay. So now the interesting sector, which is the realty pack. In realty pack, I should say the trend is improving, but the candle is not that great in the previous month's closing. Trend, along with the trend, the momentum is also not great, because it's slanting on upside, but it's very slow. It's not something like this. Okay. Now in the weekly time frame chart, terrific momentum. This is a retracement, and I think the real estate sector has come down and retraced by 38.20% Fibonacci retracement. According to me, I think if we start seeing some sharp move in the next coming week, maybe above, let me have a look at the hourly or the 2 hourly time frame charts. You can also see very clearly that there are some extremely oversold readings in RSI. So this is a sign that things are extremely oversold reading in the RSI, and we also do have a positive divergence in the RSI in the early time frame charts. You can see this. Lower low, higher low in RSI. So this is a good sign, I would say. Things are improving in the RSI as well in the price, but you need to be a bit more mindful. So I think time will tell. Once we start trading above at least this zone, and then we'll be able to test this zone. Okay, 987. First is 972, then there is 981. So I think this will depend how exactly things are shaping up the next week. But I'm a bit hopeful that some sort of short-term bounce back cannot be ruled out, because I have been talking about this index right away from last 1 month that it should correct. And it has been from almost close to 1040 or maybe 1035, and from there we have been able to correct by 8 to 10%. So 8 to 10% correction in a sector is pretty good. Now we are close to a very good decent medium term support as well. Even the RSI is now somewhere at 42. Okay, it's just below 50. So this is a good decent risk reward for a short term swing trader. But what price action is visible on Monday, Tuesday, I think that will decide a lot in this particular sector. Midcaps. Midcaps trend up, momentum even up, but again, if you check, the momentum is up, but we again do have a sign that the price is making higher highs, RSI is not making higher highs. Just a sign. Again, I repeat, this is just a sign that the momentum is slightly getting weaker. This is not a sign that it's a top or something. That we will only come to know what happens in the next week. If in the next week we have some negative candle or something in the weekly time frame chart, only then things will be very clear. Okay. Now in the daily time frame chart, we can see a sudden pullback and then suddenly loss of momentum. Not a lack of momentum, but a sudden loss of momentum. And this loss of momentum is visible even over here, the relationship between price and RSI. So all these things are interconnected. I think as a trader, short-term trader who have been trading in mid caps, short-term traders I'm speaking, one should consistently trail their stop losses aggressively, because you can also see that the RSI is completely sideways in the mid cap sector. All right. Now summing it up all, I should say that we had a fantastic breakout last week, and after the breakout, many times it happens that prices do retrace just to test how the breakout is. Even if we come down to this level, things are okay, but if we start closing below this zone, I will just share the zone once again with all of you. The zone of support is 25,240 to 25,114 or 110. So if we close within this zone or below this, then things will be a lot of problematic, because then this entire bullish sentiment which was created by this breakout will be nullified. Probability is that it may not happen, but we should be a bit watchful. And again, it's not a time where each and every sector is all bullish. Like if you saw, pharma is improving, metal, IT is sideways. It's in an uptrend but sideways. Real estate has come down. It's like close to a support. Probability of bounce back is increasing. Again, probability of bounce back is increasing in private banks and bank Nifty. PSU Banks already in a short-term uptrend, but again, as I said, that it does have a sort of a reading where momentum is losing itself in the weekly time frame chart. So overall, we are in an uptrend in the PSU Banks, but what happens in the next few days will be extremely important. FMCG is surely looking weak. Like if it closes below the recent low or something in the weekly time frame chart, then things will be bad. So I think it's overall a mixed bag in the market right now. It's not a complete blanket bullish blanket market. So you'll have to pick your sectors and the stocks within those sectors very, very carefully. Like say for example, Pharma sector has given a breakout, but if you check the stocks of pharma, not all are bullish. So you need to be very, very careful when you're picking the constituents. All right. So I hope this video has added value and help you to understand how markets can move in the next week. Do share this video with other traders who might need it. Do share your comments also below the video, and trade less and trade wisely. Thank you.